Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL? NFL draft prospects and rookies? Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man JRich.
Count that money, man.
Now wipe the crust out of your eyes, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Ray G. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. Let's get it, GMGP. Everybody in the building. It is Monday, August 14th, 2023. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with Ray G. I know I appreciate y'all being in the building. I looked in the chat early and it is popping. I got Dynasty Barry, top of the morning. What's up, Dynasty Barry? Rubio in the building. How you doing, Rubio? Look at this right here. David from across the pond. He said, put JRich and a 55-year-old me at wide receiver, wide receiver, and we would combine for 2 TDs against the Titans. So David talking trash about the Tennessee Titans. Jimbo in the building. Zach, Oliver, Tater Wolf in the building. Y'all hear the intro song, Fizzle Dollars, man. Jay, I got to give Fizzle a shout out this morning because Fantasy Football Expo was this past weekend, and I heard from multiple people that the dopest thing that they saw, the best thing that they witnessed was Fizzle getting a chance to hang out with somebody that he looked up to in the sports space, Des Bryant. Conversations, Des tweeting them saying, send me your Cash App. He had about 25 Des Bryant jerseys. So shout out to my man Fizzle Dollars getting a chance to meet his guy Des Bryant. Jay, got a lot to talk about today, man. We were both pumped to do this show. We're talking about let's effing go before we start. So I just got to bring you in, man. How you doing this morning, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Everyone's out here partying at the expo. And what are we doing, Ray? I feel bad for the people a little bit. At least you're here, right? Because I'm out here grinding the tape, right? So the people know what's going on this weekend for preseason week 1. But everyone's out there partying. Everyone's out there having fun. And we're here Monday morning, waking our ass up, telling people what's been going on, getting them ready for the week. You know why, Ray? Because we love the people.
We love the people.
We love doing this show.
We do.
That's why we're here. But I had a great weekend, man. How was your weekend?
Jay, it was cool. We got back to school, so the kids go back to school this week. So trying to get all this prep for last minute. Dude, I was waking up this morning to do the show, and I'm listening to my wife snoring. The kids are asleep. The dogs are asleep. And I'm like, Jesus, we're about to have to go back to 3 days a week, getting up at 5:30 in the morning to prep and do all of this. But no, we do it for the people. We do it for y'all. We do it because we love you. So before we get rolling, we just want to say thank you for rocking with us throughout the entire offseason. I know it's been a struggle to find some content, but we were consistent. We have not taken a break. We trimmed down the show, but we continue to roll. So just thank you for being here. And we're excited about a lot of things that are coming to Destination Debbie here in the next couple of weeks that we want to announce very soon. But Jay, we've got a lot to get into. We got our first taste of real football action this past weekend. A lot of things happened, but one of the things that I want to ask you, Jay, if you got an opportunity to check it out, we got to let some people filter into the show, but did you by chance get to watch the Johnny Manziel Untold documentary on Netflix? And if you did, what were your thoughts on old Johnny football?
It's funny, so I did get to watch it, first of all, and I loved it. I thought it was awesome. Just seeing Johnny's perspective on the whole situation. And I think it's been long enough to where I think a lot of people would forget exactly how some of the things went down, right? How he became Johnny Football, the legend in the football space, right? And obviously you kind of being in Texas, you had a more intimate perspective to some degree of Johnny Football. But for me, like mad far away, I didn't know about until he was famous, right? Like I didn't know about the prospect. I didn't know about him at A&M when he was a little bit younger. And then he became Johnny Football. It was like, holy hell, this is the guy. And I do want to know your biggest takeaway from the doc, but mine, spoilers if you haven't watched it, was the fact that Johnny Manziel was not rich.
Yeah, that kind of through my mind. Yeah.
By far the most wild thing, because again, like from a far perspective, all I heard, and I think it was Skip Bayless was the one who really put it on like national acclaim, talking about how Johnny Football's rich from oil money. And they come out in the doc and his best friend's like, nah, bro, we made that up. And it's like, what? And all this time, after everything that happened, it was never came out that Johnny was rich, because even when he was on the Browns, it was, well, you know, why would he care about football? He's got family money and all these things, kind of the same things we heard about Josh Rosen, when in reality, the only money he had was his own, which is wild, absolutely wild. But what was your takeaway from the doc? Because I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was good, man. I think the biggest takeaway for me, and we kind of talked about it last night, is, and it kind of put things in perspective for me. We sit back and we're analyzing these players as they live and breathe football, right? Like, why are you not getting better, or what is happening? And you watch it, and it's so true. He talked about it in the documentary. Like, football was just something that he did. Like, you can do it, we go do it.
Yeah.
And I think back to whenever I played, and I get it, I wasn't at Texas A&M or anything like that, but even the players that I were around that got a chance to play, to get a chance to, you know, to try out for an NFL team, or Danny in particular, who got to play in the NFL, like, none of us walked around like, oh, we play college football. It was kind of like, dude, I really don't want to do this shit, but I'm like, let's just go. Like, it's a job. You go do it. And he talked about that, and it's just a stark reality that when we're sitting back and we're trying to evaluate, and Chigo Conquo is going to take the next step. Like, Johnny was just like, I didn't even want to play. Like, I didn't even want to be out there. I didn't want to play. And I'm not saying that's everybody, but it was a real reminder that, man, these are just real people. And a lot of the times we look at this as this game, this proxy of a game that we play. And in reality, this is like a job. And when I'm done with that, when we got done practicing, I vividly remember, Jay, my last college meeting, right? I said, I'll never watch film again. I was like, I'm never watching this shit again. It was long. We rewound one play like 1,000,000 times. And I'm just like, I don't want to ever do this again. And, you know, I went years after I got done playing without even picking up a football. I didn't want to throw a football. I didn't want to play flag football. I didn't want to do any of that. Like, get me out of here. I'm done with this. So I thought it was really good. The only thing I didn't like is the part where his dad basically blamed Kevin Sumlin for him being a shit in college, and he was supposed to mold him. I'm kind of like, not really, dude. They're just there to win college games. All that shit about them trying to build you and grow you, maybe some coaches do, but for the most part, they're there to win games and get the hell out of there. But thought it was a good doc. If you haven't seen it, I mean, Netflix doesn't sponsor us at all, but I would check it out. I think it was... you know, we're open. We are a walking billboard.
We're always open to conversations.
We are open to business. But no, it was a good documentary, man. But all right, we got people in the building now, Jay. We got to get rolling. We got a lot to get through, and we've got to start with the underdogs, risers, and fallers. So let's go ahead and get into that right now.
From the biggest and brightest stars to the last round pick, we have you covered for everything on Underdog Fantasy. Let's get into it, and let's get that money, baby.
Go ahead, Jay.
All right, Ray. And Rubio, yes, I did get a haircut. Thank you for noticing.
Ray
didn't even notice. But over to the risers and followers on Underdog. We will be quick because there is a lot to get through with these preseason games. Number one on the list is Marvin Mims. With the Tim Patrick injury, Marvin Mims is rising, but he did not play in the game this week. He did have a hamstring injury. Dalton Kincaid, as we've already talked about, massive riser right now, along with Sam Laporta and Darren Waller at tight end. These tight ends are getting hyped up to the high heavens in practices, and I don't think that's going anywhere. But at the running back position, Ray, Tank Bigsby, who we may talk about a little bit later, very, very interesting usage for him this past weekend, and he did look good. Nine carries for 52 yards, and he did play a very pivotal snap in that game with the starters. And then talking about the followers, Elijah Mitchell hurt, Damian Harris hurt, Kendra Miller had an Alvin Kamara problem, and now hurt. Chiga Conquo has a DeAndre Hopkins problem, and Greg Dulcich, very, very, very questionable usage for him heading into the first preseason game. So we'll see. But these guys are the guys that are trending a little bit. A lot of running back movement, a lot of tight end movement kind of makes sense. But we'll see what happens this week. We do have practices. We do have preseason games. And it's crazy, Ray, because I almost forgot that teams were going to be practicing Saturday and Sunday because they played on Thursday and Friday. So we're seeing teams play on Sunday, and then we're also seeing teams practice on Sunday. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I remember vividly because I was watching Denver play, and I was watching some of the tape, and I was also seeing tweets about Denver practicing, and I was like, what is going on? Is he talking about the game that I'm watching? Or all over the place.
Confusing, right?
Where do you want to start with this kind of stuff? Actually, I will hit on the minor news.
Hit the news real quick.
Which I mentioned, right? Kareem Hunt went to the Saints. Then he didn't go to the Saints and went to the Colts. And then over the weekend, Ray, I didn't even see this. He also went and visited the Vikings.
I saw
because
that.
the Vikings played on Thursday. So Kareem Hunt probably going to deal somewhere. And the bigger thing, Ray, he's gone up 2 rounds in ADP on Underdog.
Wow.
So, yeah, 24 spots on Underdog. Now he is outside the top 150. That's why he didn't make the list. But he's up 2 rounds on Underdog. So when I'm looking at a Zeke, looking at a Leonard Fournette, looking at some of these guys that are free agents, they're also guys that are probably going to rise on Underdog whenever they get a deal. So just keep that in mind that Kareem Hunt, he was around 180 right now. He's like up in the 200s. He's up 2 rounds on Underdog right now. Devontae Adams left practice with a leg injury. Not supposed to be serious, according to Josh McDaniels. Jonathan Taylor, Ray, expected back at practice this week. So we will probably see his ADP rise. And Kenneth Walker also returned to practice. So anyone who has Kenneth Walker can now finally breathe a sigh of relief. We have Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet back at practice. Obviously, Charbonnet played in the game on Thursday. But where do you want to start with the preseason games this week?
Let's start with some honorable mentions first, because the chat is already. Okay. This is not on the show sheet, Jay. So you just got to vibe with me here. The chat is already going, and the first name that I see is somebody, a running back out of LA who had a good weekend. Second-year running back Isaiah Spiller. He and Josh Kelly both played well. I thought the Chargers looked really good. Spiller had 2 runs called back, one with 2 of them holding calls. Had those 2 runs been converted, I think he finishes the game with a $148 on the ground in preseason.
Big runs.
Looked good. Him and Kelly looked good. Again, these are 2 players that are vying for backup spots behind Austin Eckler, who's going to be dope this year with Kellen Moore. But I thought both of those guys looked really good. The chat talking about them in here. I see some Jamarcus Russell talk, Jay. I don't know. Yeah. Don't know what happened with that. When I saw my girl Jo said she's sick of football, but she still woke her ass up to be here. But I think we just start off at the top, Jay. I think most people want to know about or at least get our opinion on the rookie quarterbacks and their debut this past weekend. So we did see Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, and Bryce Young all in action. And we can just take it sort of in order. I think it was Stroud, then Bryce Young, and then Anthony Richardson. I think that's the way that went. Or it might have went Stroud, A-Rich, and Bryce Young, Jay. But before I give you my thoughts on it, did you get a chance? And if you didn't, it's preseason. And I know your girlfriend had just gotten back from where was she at? Dubai? Where did your...
France.
She went to France. Okay, she went to Paris.
France, yeah.
Paris.
And she didn't take you. And Monaco and Nice.
Who'd she go with? She went with her homegirls?
She went with her cousin. Yeah.
Ooh, is her cousin single or is her cousin dating somebody?
Her cousin actually is single. I know. Clubbing in Paris. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, we'll talk later. Well, what did you think about Stroud, Young, and A-Rich? Talk to me, man.
So I'll start with Stroud because he did play my Patriots. And I just want people to know this right now. You got to basically throw out the tape. Like, I don't know how else you could feel about CJ Stroud other than you have to basically throw out the tape entirely. When you watch a quarterback drop back in a max protection with 2 routes and he gets sacked in under 2.5 seconds, that is a team problem, not a quarterback problem. The interception was bad. There was a couple plays he made that were okay, but the pressure was just crazy on Stroud. The pick wasn't great, but overall, literally 0 execution from this Houston Texans team in pretty much every way. So for me, I got to say you got to throw out the tape pretty much entirely with Stroud. He made some decent plays. He made some bad plays, but overall, not a whole lot you can see from Stroud that really tells me he's either good or bad. When you talk about Richardson, the biggest takeaway, the arm strength. Every throw, Ray, is a bullet. Like every single throw. Now, he did throw a pick, and that's okay. You know, it's going to happen in preseason, and it was a bad throw, sidearm to the right side between 2 receivers. It was fine. And Bryce, I think the biggest thing with Bryce is that he's underwhelming, and that's the problem. That I don't see, again, I know that Bryce's way to win is cerebrally. You know, when he's on time and on target, he's pretty good, but when he's not, he struggled at times. And again, like with the timing with the receivers wasn't great. The offensive line was a problem. I think Richardson by far was the most impressive because when you look at how these skills can translate to being a very successful NFL quarterback, and especially for fantasy, it's so easy to see how Richardson could translate, and it's harder for me to see that with a Bryce Young right now. I need to see a bit more from him. And Stroud, like I said, I pretty much threw out the tape because what I saw was no time, no, like under pressure, under duress all the time. And it's just, there's no reason to really take what he did and put a ton of stock into it. But how'd you feel about these three quarterbacks over the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, just based on the game, CJ Stroud, not good. Bryce Young, not really good. Anthony Richardson thought he was pretty good. I mean, that's really kind of what it is.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Listen, the New England Patriots kind of threw a lot at CJ Stroud. He only played 2 series. He was sacked twice, threw a pick, ran around once, completed another couple of passes. I'm with you. I'm not taking much away from it. He didn't look good. I think the biggest thing was he was locked onto his first read. It's his first game, and I can only imagine the amount of nerves and excitement that all of these young men were having. You know, they can talk about it's just another day, but it's not. It's your first NFL game. It's live action. You're finally going to be hit. Bryce Young took a big sack in that game, but CJ Stroud didn't look good. But I'm taking it with the largest grain of salt. He played a couple of series. It was a rookie performance versus a Bill Belichick defense. Not taking a ton away from any of the performances. But it wasn't good, right? Like, just being real, it wasn't a good showing from C.J. Stroud. Bryce Young, it wasn't that good either. And my man Damian Parson, he does his own thing, man. Make sure you tap into DP and what he's doing. But he's been telling me, he was at Panthers camp, and he said, Ray, I know you love him. We all love him. But I'm concerned about the arm strength. He just keeps telling me, Ray, I just don't know if he can drive it in there. And there's a throw, stop route to Laviska Shenault that was incomplete. The announcer said it was on Viska. DP seems to think differently. He's like, I don't know about all of that, right? Yeah. So just, it was okay. It honestly wasn't okay. It was not good either for him. He got hit big. But again,
that Jets D-line rotation, man.
First preseason game, dude. So I'm not taking much away from the bad. But Anthony Richardson did look good. And outside of the third snap of the game where he threw an egregious pick, which you're going to have to live with some up and down for him. He's not going to be perfect. He's not going to be Aaron Rodgers. But he also delivered probably one of the best throws of the weekend that was dropped by Alec Pierce. Would have been a 40-something yard touchdown pass. Alec Pierce had it and just couldn't control it through the ground. He bounced back. He drove the ball down the field. He led an 83-yard scoring drive in his last possession. He ran around a little bit, had a long run, had a decent run called back. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, damn, dude, like this was good. And he got the Bills. And it wasn't like all the Bills backups. It was Ed Oliver was out there. Matt Milano was out there. Starting Bills defense outside of a couple of players were out there. So I thought Anthony Richardson looked pretty good for his first preseason game relative to the other big three. Will Levis, I mean, that 10, all I'm going to say is I pray Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill and Treylon Burks and DeAndre Hopkins can get that thing going, because Tennessee, I don't think you want Malik or Will Levis. That they did not, and they played the whole game. It was a painful watch from the Tennessee Titans. But I thought overall the big three underwhelming as a collective. If I had to rank them based on performance, it'd be JRich, and then I'd put Bryce and CJ Stroud tied for last of those big three. Yeah, tied for last of those big three. Let me know what y'all think about the rookie quarterbacks. I'm not reading the comments right now, Jay, but we are not going to bury the lead anymore, Jay, because during the season, everybody knows what we do. We give out an award, the Baller of the Week. We normally do running back Baller of the Week, wide receiver Baller of the Week. Today we're just doing who was the coldest veteran that we saw play, just our Baller of the Week. And Jay, I'm going to let you take it away because we all know who it is. Your favorite quarterback in the NFL. Give him his flowers. Justin Eugene Fields. Justin Eugene Fields was 3 for 3, 129 yards, 2 TDs, balling. You see him there with the mirrored visor on, looking cold, looking sweet. Justin Fields balling this week, Jay. And not only was Justin Fields balling, he was throwing it up to the new wide receiver one, DJ Moore, who caught a long touchdown pass from Justin Fields.
Did you say a long touchdown?
Oh, yeah. It was 60-something plus yards. And I'm just telling you, this combination, Jay, is feeling like it's going to be lethal this fall. So we are going back to the well again, Jay. And I'm not going to ask you, are they going to finish top 5? I just want to know your thoughts on Justin Fields, this Bears offense, what you saw week 1 of preseason. Are you getting a little shaky on they can't be a top 10 combination this year? Are you a little kind of like, damn, man, I may have overstepped in this regard here.
No, I'm not, Ray. I'm not. So to talk about the game, yeah, Justin Fields has a phenomenal stat line, 158.3 perfect passer rating, and he threw about like 7 air yards, I think, in that game. So he did a lot of the work. His teammates really played well for him. It was kind of fitting, honestly. You know, I believe that Justin Fields is a very religious man. And, you know, he prayed to God and he said, God, please help me out. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to go put Moses in at left tackle for you, Justin Fields. And you know what Moses is going to do? He's going to part the Red Sea for your receivers, for your playmakers. And that's exactly what happened. You know, the lineman went out there and there was no one out there. Tennessee showed why they're the worst secondary in the league. And they fittingly, they scored Justin Fields' throw to DJ Moore. I'm not going to say it was all Tennessee. Screenplays, Ray, I'm sure you would agree with this, are a team effort. The quarterback doesn't make a screenplay great. Sometimes a playmaker can, but in a lot of ways, it's the blocking from the offensive line and from the other players. And in the case of DJ Moore's touchdown, it was all everybody else. The pass was actually behind DJ Moore. Let's point that out. It was a little bit behind him. He made a good catch. And what did he do? He ran and parted the Red Sea like we saw Darrell Henderson do so many times at Memphis.
I don't care how they do it.
Khalil Herbert caught the ball. Ray, did you know that he actually had 33% of his receiving yards for his entire career in that preseason game? So I don't think he's going to be catching 56-yard screen passes anytime in the NFL. But overall, what I will say, all honesty, great for the Bears, great for the Bears offense. They executed at an extremely high level, pulling off screenplays like that, even though they were to the same side. Still a feat to be happy with and encouraging heading into the season. Do I think the Bears are going to win 7 games? Absolutely not. Do I think they can be a top 10 duo? Absolutely not. But it was an encouraging sign from the Bears offense. Do you feel any differently about this?
Yes,
team,
I feel much differently. I think they have a vastly improved offensive line. I think the addition of Tennessee tackle Darnell Wright is going to work wonders, bringing in some other just ancillary blocking pieces. This feels like a team that wants to be physical, that wants to run the ball. We've talked about how much Chicago ran the ball last year, and I don't think that they're going to let off the gas anymore this season. But I do love the addition of DJ Moore. And when you have a receiver that can break screens for a touchdown, and yes, I get it. It was a screenplay. Fields didn't have to do a lot, but those things add up. I don't care how they do it. Is he going to be involved in this offense? Is he going to be the primary target earner? The answer to those questions are yes, yes, and unequivocally yes. So, therefore, I absolutely want Fields. I want DJ Moore. And I do think if he's going to be peppered with 150 targets, 140 targets, even if Fields only throws the ball
150 targets?
Listen, even if Fields is only going to throw the ball 425 times, if they're going to go to DJ Moore, I want that player. And I do think that with the touchdowns, with the yards, I think this could really work in Chicago. Now, we've got to see a little more out of Fields, but all I can do is grade him on what happened. And what happened was, if this were the regular season and he went out there and only threw 3 passes and 2 of them went for touchdowns, you're feeling pretty good about the day, right? Yeah. You're feeling pretty good combined with the rushing. So I still think that they do have the potential to be a top 10 combination this fall. I truly believe that. Fields and DJ Moore, that wide receiver and quarterback combination could be a top combination in fantasy football. Khalil Herbert looked fast. He looked good. Roschon Johnson played well. I may talk about him on the rookie report. I think I'm going to put that out tomorrow. I thought they looked good offensively, right? I thought they looked good. In Tennessee, yes, they did not look good outside of Tajay Spears and a couple of other players, Jay. But let's move on to another team that decided to rest their starters, and a lot of buzz around this newly crowned or newly thought of RB1 for the reigning NFC champs. Kenneth Gainwell did not play, Jay. Kenny Gainwell got the starters rest. Him and A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, they got to chill, while DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny were toting the rock in the second quarter of a preseason game. But, Jay, I just want to ask you a question, because you got to see that nasty dead leg by DeAndre Swift. What are your thoughts on this situation, man? Boston Scott also did not play, so I just want to ask you, where are you at with DeAndre Swift, this Philadelphia Eagles running back rotation of Penny and Gainwell, apparently the bell cow in Philadelphia? Where are you at with these Eagles, Jay?
So I'm not reading into it yet, especially because it's only week 1. I think it is worth pointing out, right? Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott, very familiar with this system. Rashad Penny, DeAndre Swift have not played in this system at all, right? So that was kind of the big sticking point for me with these two guys. Now, to point it out, DeAndre Swift, I believe, did start, and he only played 6 snaps. Pretty much after that dead leg, I think it was on the first snap that he played. He was pretty much out after that. He hardly played.
Yeah.
Penny got a bulk of the carries and the snaps. He actually led all running backs on the team other than Trey Sermon in snaps. So for starter snaps, it was Penny mostly, a little bit of Swift. And as you mentioned, Gainwell and Scott didn't play in this game. So they did get some familiarity in the offense, which was good. We saw a lot of Marcus Mariota, which was not so fun for us. But for fantasy, it didn't tell us a whole lot. I mean, maybe it was encouraging to see Penny get some snaps, and maybe he will be the primary rusher. And if you believe that, I think that's probably an encouraging sign. But outside of that, I think the more concerning thing is we saw a little bit of Swift, so he's probably going to be involved. He was involved early, which is good. We saw a lot of Penny, so we don't really know what that means. And then there is still Gainwell and Scott that will work into this offense, which is what makes it so tough. We didn't see them all work in concert. And that's where I have concerns, because there's people talking about, and I have to give Levitan, Adam Levitan from ETR, a lot of credit here, because he's been watching this rotation a ton. And he said, for the majority of it was that he was happy to see those guys work, but overall, it's not really that indicative of what's going to happen. And a lot more fears are that Gainwell is going to be the guy who gets the third down work, and in more particular, the quick passing game, the 2-minute drill, when they have to drive down the field quickly due to the familiarity with the offense. And so that could be a problem. It's going to be a lot of cooks in the kitchen. I think that's the big thing for the Eagles. I don't know if we're ever going to get clarity prior to this season.
Man, they're gonna roll 4 running backs out there, aren't they? It's gonna be Penny,
I think
Swift.
they are. Yeah. There's not gonna be. I don't think there's gonna be a Miles Sanders this year. That's the problem. So, there won't be a guy who gets double touchdowns.
What are you doing with this situation? I mean, this is one where I don't know, man. And they do run the committee, the rotation. It just feels like it's going. They're not cutting Boston Scott. They're not cutting Kenneth Gainwell. No. I don't think they're cutting Swift, and I don't think they're cutting Penny. Like, let's just get that out of the way. If they rolled out 4 running backs every week, Jay, I don't want any of them. Or I need all 4 of them, and it has to be best ball. Just give me all 4 in best ball. But then do you really want to roster 4 running backs off the same team?
Nope.
It feels like a great NFL problem to have 4 talented rushers that all sort of do similar yet different things, but for what we are here for and what we want, the consistency, the production, this feels like a walking headache waiting to happen. So I don't know, man. I don't know about this one. I'm not worried about Kennedy Brooks or Trey Sermon, but let's see how this plays out. But I do think, Jay, that this is probably going to be a little bit of a nightmare for us in fantasy football, this 4-man rotation in Philadelphia, Jay. But we are now probably about midway through the show. We got almost 400 people in here. So it's time to give the people what they want. We got to give the people what they want. And y'all know what we're contractually obligated to do, contractually obligated to talk about. Yet now we've got some actionable information because we saw the player on the field yesterday. In the NFL, they know what they did. They put this game last, the last game on the preseason slate. So all eyes were on. They know what they're doing. This is when people say it's scripted and all, like they knew what they were doing, putting San Francisco versus the Raiders as the final game on Sunday. And we got the start from Sir Trey Lance, who started the game out, finished, Jay, 10 for 15, over 100 yards, had a passing touchdown in the game.
Really?
But did you? He did have a pass. It was an interception / touchdown, a combination of 2. Rarely happens in the league, but San Francisco's quarterbacks are the luckiest in the world, all of them.
They are.
Trey Lance got on the field, Jay. He started, played the entire first half for the San Francisco 49ers. Backups, there was no Trent Williams, no Deebo Samuel, and he was playing against the Raiders backups as well. Got to play, was on the field, played a half, Jay. What are your thoughts on his performance? What are your thoughts on this situation? And let's just say, before this game, because I am all about being fair and keeping things 100 on here, reports were Brock Purdy was god-awful in practice the day before. 4 interceptions, not good, yet he gets to chill, doesn't get to play.
Yeah.
They throw Trey Lance out there, and I read something this morning that in his first 3 series, they called 2 running plays, and everything else was play action and 5-step drops.
Action, yeah.
I'm just going to say this, dude. I have been on record since November saying that I think they're going to start Brock Purdy. And I've never once said that I think Brock Purdy was more talented, that he's got more potential, but you could read the tea leaves. This was not, pay attention. I talked about this last night with Scott on Destination Chill. Go check that out if you haven't seen it. It's on the channel. First 5 minutes were awful. It was echoing and all kinds of crazy stuff, but we got it figured out. But I've talked about this. I just read follow what the teams are telling us. And what it felt like the teams were saying, or the absence of what they were not saying about Trey Lance, I'm like, they want Brock Purdy to start. And I've been on record of saying that. Never said he was better. But this situation just screams, if the practice reports are true, Jay, and the reports are, like, Lance has looked the best out of all the quarterbacks in practice. Those have been the consistent reports that he's improved. He looks the best, and everybody out of San Francisco says, doesn't matter what he does, good or bad, Brock is starting. You look at this situation, man, and it's just like it doesn't feel like he had – I kind of feel bad for him a little bit, Jay. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm listening to the announcers and the commentators talk about him, talk about where he should be, his growth. And the reality is, over the last 5 years, he's played maybe like 4 or 5 meaningful games. And if you look at last season, no one counts the monsoon game. Nobody did anything in that one. Then in his second game, he gets hurt. His rookie season, I think he had 2 starts in his rookie year towards the end of the season. And then his senior season of college, or his final season, he played 1 game. So you're talking about in 4 years, this young man's only played a couple of games. This seems like a marriage that's destined to fail. He needs a new spot. It's not going to work in San Francisco. Get over it. And what I was telling Scott last night, Jay, I don't even know if Brock is truly the answer. All the reports are if he stinks, they're going to go after Kirk Cousins next year, which would be really fun to see Cousins in San Francisco. But
damn right it would.
What were your thoughts on Lance's performance yesterday? What did you think?
I thought it was okay. He made a couple of good plays, but early on especially, he was not seeing the field very well. And I don't want to knock him because he was bad, but he just looked like a quarterback who lacked confidence. And I don't mean to say that in a bad way, right? Like, I need you to hear what I'm saying.
No, say it in a bad way. He lacked confidence, and that sucks. When you lose your confidence, it's a wrap.
That's what I'm saying, right? This is what I'm saying. When you I don't know if we're gonna talk about the other quarterback on the other side. The Raiders quarterback, that dude had confidence, and he was dotting the ball every play. And so when you sit back and you watch Trey Lance play, and you can see open tight end. Like this, again, we watch the NFL a lot. This is open in the NFL. Trey Lance has to make that throw on time, on target, and he's hesitating, and he's checking himself, and he's stopping, and he's getting sacked. You're like, dude, you got to throw the ball. And I think this is where potentially in practice, a Shanahan may look at Brock and say he has the confidence to make the throw, whether the player is open or not. And Trey Lance, right now in that game, kind of saw he has to be open because he threw that pick, and that was a pick into double coverage. Yeah. But it worked out for him, and that's fine. But we also saw him hesitate a lot of times on throws, and that's what happens when you don't play football for 4 years. You're not confident, and this is a game setting where you can't not get sacked, right? Like in practice, there's not guys barreling down on you trying to hit you. They run around you, and they might tap you on the leg or whatever. But Trey Lance hasn't played meaningful football in so long. He's hesitant to make certain throws. And even against backups, he's getting sacked a ton. He's running for his life. I get the backup offensive line, but he has to have the confidence to make the throws and the reads. And we did not really see that, especially early on. It could have been jitters, could have been whatever. But without that confidence, he can't be the Trey Lance that we all touted that was drafted 3rd overall. And if he never gets that back, he's never going to be the guy we wanted him to be. And I think that's the hard part watching Trey Lance.
Yeah, man, the confidence. Once your confidence is shot, and we continue to talk, and this happens in all sports, Jay. NBA. Absolutely. Look at Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is first team NBA in rec league, and then he gets to the league and he can't make a free throw. Pitchers, baseball, hitters. I feel like we're witnessing this with Lance. Listen, it's just a matter of time. Brock is starting, and Jay, at this point, I wouldn't be shocked if Kyle Shanahan and those guys, he's the QB3 to start the season. They put Sam Darnold in. He's the immediate backup to Brock Purdy. This is just a relationship that seems it's destined to fail. They need to move on. So hopefully he can play well. And I saw some people say, send him to Minnesota. If they're going to If Kirk Cousins isn't going to come back, send him to Minnesota. So not good for Lance. I thought Aiden O'Connell looked fantastic. I'll talk about him on the rookie report.
So good.
A lot of confidence for that young man. So a lot of confidence there, Jay. A lot of confidence building for another AFC team. One preseason game, Jay. But I want to know, how are you feeling about the young second-year pairing out of Pittsburgh? And I'm talking about P&P, Pickens and Pickett. Kenny Pickett and George Pickens connected for a touchdown, 1 for 33, touchdown in the game. Deontay Johnson was peppered with targets. I think he had 3 receptions in the Steelers preseason game. We saw Jaylen Warren running well. Calvin Austin with the deep throw. Talk to me about Kenny Pickett, because this is a quarterback that it seemed like everybody kind of hated after year one. He sucks. How did he go first round? The Steelers are insane. Why would you take him over Malik Willis? Seems like Pittsburgh did the right thing by going with Kenny Pickett. Let's give them the credit. I think they made the right decision going with Kenny Pickett. Talk to me about his performance. How are you feeling about him in year 2? How high could he be? George Pickens, there's a lot of dialogue around that dog because he's got that dog in him. George Pickens, touchdown. They said he couldn't run after the catch. You see him running after the catch. Jay, this Pittsburgh offense quietly, I mean, they got some pieces, man. Big Washington out there helping block. There was a play. Did you see the play where he completely collapsed the left side of the offensive line? Oh, my.
Just took the defensive end out entirely. It was crazy.
Baby, give it to me, man. Talk to me about these Steelers, man. Pickens, Pickett, Austin, Warren, Harris, Deontay. What's up?
Man, this is a team that I've been very excited for. And you're right. The Steelers, outside of Sam Howell, because the jury's still out on Sam Howell a little bit. We hope to see him play well in Washington. But they absolutely made the right decision at quarterback. And you just talked about a quarterback who wasn't playing with confidence. Kenny Pickett was dropping back and playing with so much confidence, whether it's throwing to Deontay, made a great throw to Pat Freiermuth. Jaylen Warren was looking great. Najee Harris, like all these guys, all these weapons. And I tweeted it out, I think, before last week. They have all these players that are being drafted ahead of Kenny Pickett in best ball drafts. But it's like, if all these players, like 5 different players, are going to be drafted ahead of Kenny Pickett, we should probably be looking at Kenny Pickett a little bit. And then I also broke it down a little bit on the podcast as well, talking about how while Kenny Pickett is, QB 18, 19, and I maybe don't view him as having a ton of upside, he really is a guy that if everything hits, we love all the weapons around him. The offensive line is drastically improved. Big Wash will help block. We know Freiermuth is still big and can block and obviously can catch passes as well. I think there's a lot of upside for the Steelers offense, and no one's really accounting for it simply because Kenny Pickett was so bad last year. But touchdowns should be there. George Pickens looked great after the catch, but I mean, come on, Ray. The throw. Just sit back there, put his foot in the ground, drove it between 3 defenders.
It's a good throw,
I'm
man.
not going to take it away from Pickens, but everyone's tagging me on Twitter because Pickens caught a touchdown. And I'm just like, dude, did you see that throw? That was all Kenny Pickett. And yes, George Pickens did make a great move after the catch to secure the touchdown.
Yes, he did.
But my goodness, what a throw. To have the confidence to make that throw in that situation, hopefully he can do that in the regular season. Because if he's doing that shit now, in the regular season, he'll keep doing it, and I'm very excited for the Steelers offense because they could be so good. And as you mentioned, Calvin Austin out of the slot, man, that team could be so good. So good.
If that O-line is better, if that they spent the first round on Broderick Jones, they brought in a tackle from Philly. I think they brought in a tackle that was in Philadelphia last year. Guard. Guard. Darnell Washington there. You still have Big Najee. The NFC North is going to be fun. Steelers, Ravens, AFC North. Steelers, Ravens, Bengals, and the Browns, man. I'm excited for the AFC North. I want some Steelers, man. In best ball, I want a couple of shots on Calvin. I just want it. I want a couple of shots on Calvin Austin. Jaylen Warren, my love for him. Najee's so dope. Good. Warren is a different cat. I think this is a guy that's going to be a very nice 1B to Najee Harris's 1A. Loving what we saw out of Pittsburgh. And Jay, speaking of love, show some love to that boy out of Green Bay. What a segue, Ray G. Jordan Love, Jay. They said this man couldn't hit the broadside of a barn in practice versus Cincinnati. All the reports where he looked awful in those joint practices, literally could not complete a pass. He said, hold my damn beer because I'm going to go out there, first drive, boom, boom, boom. Dobbs touchdown, baby. Let's go get it, Jordan Love. Romeo Dobbs in the end zone with the TD, a dime from Jordan Love, who was 7 for 10 in that performance. Then he was followed up by the legend of Sean Clifford, who was out there just playing. He was looking like damn Johnny Manziel out there. But Jordan Love bounced back after apparently a rocky week in practice. How we feeling about Mr. Love in Green Bay after week 1 of the preseason?
I'm pretty encouraged, to be honest. I wasn't sure what to expect with Love, but I think that he made some good throws. I wish he could hit Luke Musgrave a little bit more, because it seemed like every time he targeted Luke Musgrave, he missed. He overthrew him a couple times, and Musgrave dropped a pass. But, everyone else was great. We saw Jaden Reed get on with the ones a little bit, which was encouraging.
He did.
Christian Watson still did his thing. He ran a great out route for a first down.
He almost had a touchdown. Love didn't hold the safety enough. That would have been a big play. He had him, too.
So that was an interesting one, because that was, I don't know what your thoughts are. Was that a great play by the corner? Because it looked like Dax Hill came over the top, probably got a piece of the ball.
Great play by the safety.
But it was
great
so
play
close.
by the safety. Give the defense
the throw
credit.
Was good. Yeah,
I thought
it was tipped, but the throw was good, and it was on the money. Christian Watson couldn't make the play, but as you said, Dax Hill probably got there, made the play there. But very good execution from LaFleur, and I do expect this from a LaFleur offense. They're usually very well coached, have a great scheme, but I thought the usage of Musgrave was extremely valuable. That's what you want to pay attention to. You don't want to say it, because we were kind of in on Kraft over Musgrave, but Musgrave will be the starter more likely than not, and he was getting a ton of targets early in that game. So I think it's very encouraging. I liked what I saw from Reed. I think the Dobbs will be valuable. I think the touchdown going to him may boost his value a little bit more than I expected, but Watson looked pretty good, running deep routes, deep targets. Love was airing it out. He needs to work on his touch a little bit, but other than that, he played great in that game. How did you feel about
it? I thought he played well. I think he did what he should have done, and I'm glad LaFleur pulled him, didn't let him play anymore. 7 for 10. Delivered the ball. I thought the throw to Watson, maybe he should have put a little more on it, but that's why Dax Hill was a first-round pick. I mean, the dude covered so much ground there. It was incredible play by the safety, but I thought Love looked good. I mean, for the first preseason game to get out there and coming off of the week that apparently he had where he did not look good in practice, to get out there in the game, in live action, and lead that opening drive down the field for a touchdown. Great job by Jordan Love. Let's see if he can continue that momentum into week 2. I don't want to crown him just yet. They're good without Rodgers. They're going to be just fine. But it was a positive step. I'll say this. I will say this, and we'll get to the Denver team in a little bit. I'm pretty sure LaFleur and that offensive coordinator feels a lot better about that offense than Sean Payton feels about his offense. But before we get to the Denver Broncos, let's talk about Jay. I want to say this, man. Are we discounting and underrating how good this New Orleans Saints team could be in 2023? Last year, it was Andy Dalton, it's Dennis Allen's first year. They're in this transition era after all. It just was a mess in New Orleans. But despite that, they still had a good defense. They've got pieces on the Saints team. And you look at this division, the Panthers, the Falcons, the Bucks, get the hell out of here. The Saints should walk through. The Saints should walk through the NFC South, Jay, but I'm looking at Derek Carr. I'm looking at Michael Thomas on the field playing, Alvin Kamara on the field playing, Jay. Are we underrating Derek Carr in this Saints offense for fantasy, Jay? Because I am in. Give me some Carr, give me some Thomas, give me some Olave, give me some Taysom Hill, Juwan Johnson, and let me just say this. Any fantasy analyst that was out there telling you that Kendra, and this has nothing to do with his injury. I've been saying this long before he hurt his knee again, telling you that Kamara was going to lose the work and all this third-round rookie. Just stop. Stop paying for it right now. Unsubscribe to whatever shit you're paying for from that analyst. Discontinue it today. Get your money back, because there was no world in which a third-round rookie running back was going to usurp Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams. Just stop the foolishness. Just stop, man. It's not happening. It's Jamal, it's Kamara. It's Kamara, and it's Jamal. That's what it's going to be. Now Kendre's hurt, unfortunately for him, missing time. It just solidifies even further it's going to be those guys. But when I'm looking at New Orleans, Jay, I'm looking at this team saying I want a little bit of everything on this offense, especially at cost. When MT is rated wide receiver 80-something, I saw that on Twitter that some people have 80 receivers ahead of Michael Thomas. All right. Derek
Woof.
Carr, you look at where he's at on Underdog. No one wants him in those drafts. No, Kamara, I finally got his ADP up. I did that shit, Jay. I got it up. Finally got it up. Kamara moving up. This Saints offense could be really good. They should walk through the division. We underrating them for fantasy a little bit?
I think we are. You know, I think that I've been kind of on this offense for a while, especially talking about Derek Carr. But, you know, as the masses, I hope they saw the execution from this team. And then more importantly, as you said, Alvin Kamara's role in this offense, right? Like Kamara was phenomenal in this game, whether it was catching passes, moving the chains. He had a 12-yard run that was great. And then even you look at the backups, like we underrate this so much in the NFL, but like if Derek Carr got hurt, the offense should not miss a beat. Jameis Winston was 11 for 13 in this game, throwing to backups, right? So, like, you to look at that, and then bigger takeaway for me, I think Juwan Johnson's role will be pretty substantial in this offense, right? Okay. I'm a little bit worried about Olave a little. And I want to hear your thoughts on this after this, but I thought A.T. Perry looked great, and he did run a bit with the 2s and the 3s, so he may actually have a bit of a role in this offense should something happen to Michael Thomas, which I think is notable. And then on top of that, you know, you talk about Kendrick Miller. He didn't even look that great even when he was healthy. And as you mentioned, AK, then Jamal, then Kendrick got some work. But yeah, A.T. Perry I thought looked really great. Juwan Johnson getting the first target from Derek Carr was very encouraging, but Carr looked great. Winston looked great, and I think this offense is a little bit underrated overall. Michael Thomas with the end zone target and had a great catch on an in route. So I really liked what I saw from the Saints, and not so great from the Chiefs on the other side with the starters.
Well, the Chiefs starters, Andy Reid said they were going to play a quarter. That didn't happen. I think they played a series. One series. Yeah, I'm not playing Patrick Mahomes a quarter. I think the big thing for me from the Kansas City side is we saw no Pacheco. You know, Mahomes didn't really do anything. I wanted some clarity on the wide receivers, and we didn't get that. Mahomes didn't play.
Yeah.
I've been saying it for the longest, Jay, and it doesn't mean that he's the best receiver on the team. I think the most secured wide receiver role in Kansas City's offense, just if you're looking at all the receivers, and I'm like, who's going to start and who's going to do what, is Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I just know what he's going to do. Okay. I want him in best ball. I don't really want him in a lineup league. If you have to plug him in, you feel bad. But in best ball, I know he's going to do one thing. He's going to scream down the field. He's going to catch a couple of bombs during the season. Want him in best ball. I wanted to see some Sky Moore. I wanted to see some Justin Ross. I wanted to see, you know, Kadarius Toney. And we know he's hurt, but still no clarity for me with who's going to be the alpha at the wide receiver position for Kansas City. But, Jay, we did see Justin Ross catch his first touchdown pass since November 2021. Jay, so it's been a while, but congratulations to Ross, who got on the field. His over-under prop was set at 19.5. He cashed that, scored a touchdown. I'm reading all the beat reporters, and they're saying he's going to make the 53, that this is for real, that he didn't fall because of anything other than medicals. He's 6'4", 210 pounds. Again, do you think this is for real? Are you buying into Ross not being a fantasy superstar, not being the next Justin Jefferson, but making this team and being an impactful player for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2023?
I kind of do. I think at this point he's playing his way on the roster. I thought Richie James looked great as well. He basically
Richie James did look good. He did. Excuse me.
And I think he should definitely earn some targets during the season. I think the problem for Ross is like he probably needs an MVS injury, and the bigger part for us as people who are projecting him in fantasy is we don't know if he would be the guy to fill in for an MVS. And I think that's the biggest problem, is that I don't know where he falls on the depth chart. And then I don't know if he's going to play special teams, which would be another reason why he could make the 53 and play play meaningful snaps, whether like a Justin Watson does, right? Justin Watson's also a great special teamer and always makes the Chiefs roster. So you look at Richie James, we know Tony's going to make the team. We know Sky Moore's making the team. We know the MVS making the team. That's like 4 guys. And if Richie James isn't the odd man out and Rashee Rice is a draft pick, so he's making the team, like, are they going to carry 6 receivers, 7 receivers, maybe? So I think that's the only problem that could be an issue for him, because he's probably not going to play special teams. But if they want to have him on the team, then he will make the roster and he will probably play sparingly. It's just, what does his role look like in this offense? But it was very encouraging to see him on the field, and I think he can only continue to build off this going forward. He didn't play any with the ones. We did see Rashee Rice play a little bit with the ones,
Yes,
and we
he
saw
did.
nothing from Sky Moore. So I think that if I was betting on a guy today, it would be Rashee Rice. I think he's in a great spot right now. But again, as you said, we haven't seen him with Tony. Richie James was kind of the backup, but looked great in his role when he was on the field. And I'd be curious if he can play his way onto the field as well, because a lot of good things from there. But yeah, the Chiefs side, we didn't learn a lot, unfortunately. There wasn't a whole lot of plays, and they were all to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which we all just love to see. Clyde running the ball and catching the ball, because that's why we tuned into that game, to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire run the ball and catch passes at the back.
Did you hear what Scott Connor said about Clyde Edwards-Helaire on Destination Chill last night? Man, it was actually a good. Y'all need to go back to it, and I think go watch that. But he said Clyde Edwards-Helaire, from a fantasy perspective, you can't consider him a bust because you did have the opportunity there were many moments where you could have cashed out on CEH for way more than you paid for him. Very interesting philosophical conversation around being a bust and value in fantasy football. Go back and check out that episode, Jay. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we all know it's going to be Kelsey. I think Caleb said in the chat, Kelsey is the alpha. Everybody else is complimentary. Yeah. I think we just want one. But
Mahomes threw for 5,200 yards last season, so there's room, right?
There's room, and we've seen him do it before with Tyreek and Travis Kelce. And no, I don't think any of these guys are Tyreek Hill or can be Tyreek Hill, but we do know that Mahomes is more than capable of supporting. It's funny, we talk about, can Hurts support two receivers? I think Mahomes can support two or three guys. The problem is he hasn't had two or three guys that were good enough since Tyreek Hill to really throw the ball to. So we're trying to find who could be that next guy. Honestly, Jay, I don't know I don't know if it's Moore. I don't know if it's Ross. I have no idea. I know Kelsey. Other than that, no clue. So let's get to some fun stuff. And I want to talk about I think the most competitive game, or one of the more competitive games, because the starters damn near played the whole first half. This situation in Denver, I mean, Sean Payton, he kept him on the field, Jay. He said, Russ, you're playing. Judy, you're dropping passes. Cortland Sutton, y'all are going to play damn near the first half, as Russell Wilson got absolutely destroyed by the Arizona Cardinals front four. They were running zero blitz and Jay, you normally don't see that, where they just send the house. They just single high, man up, blitz 7. Jay, this situation in Denver, it feels like one that I put in the show notes. How patient will Sean Payton be? And here's the thing. People are, oh, man, Russ is going to get benched. And Jarrett Stidham was awful, too. He threw an interception. He was bad, too. This feels like, and you've got some notes about what Sean Payton has said or has told them they can or can't do. They didn't look good. Russ was still not cooking in that game, still baking shit in the microwave. This is going to be an interesting one to follow, Jay. I don't know what to think or make of the Broncos. It was one preseason game, but I was live tweeting during the game, and I'm like, I wonder if Peyton's going to bring the starters out for one more drive. And sure as shit, they're back out there with 7 minutes left in the second quarter for another drive until they finally capped it off with a Jerry Jeudy touchdown. But how patient do you think Peyton is going to be with Russell Wilson, with this team? This just feels like he is about to get his guys in there, and he doesn't give a damn. So what are your thoughts on this Denver situation?
I think it's off to a really hot start, right? I think it's off to a just as about expected start. You talk about his patience. I think he really showed us how patient he's going to be. He pretty much said, you are not coming out of this game until you score a touchdown. And they took them forever to do it. Like, Russell Wilson threw the ball 13 times, and he still barely got it in. And the only reason why he got it in is because Jerry Jeudy is disgusting and absolutely destroyed somebody in man coverage in the slot. That's the only reason why they scored. But outside of that, I mean, it was very inconsistent. The offensive line was still bad. The running game was okay. You know, I expect it to be pretty good in a Peyton offense, and we'll see when Javonte comes back how good it could be. But they will need to rely on this running game because clearly Russ is not full systems go with his receiving core. We know that will be Jeudy. So I thought Sutton looked pretty decent in his role. He did see 5 targets, which is pretty surprising. But if he's going to be that intermediate target for Russell Wilson, he could be okay. But overall, man, this Denver offense looked bad. It took them a quarter and a half just to score. And this is against Arizona, which was projected to be the worst team in the league. Right? So if they're not playing their starters and they're not good. Let
me say this about Arizona. What I liked about what Jonathan Cannon did is he had his guys competing. I mean, he's got Zaven Collins lined up on the edge. I mean, they were getting pressure at will. And didn't you say that Sean Payton has some rule that he doesn't? What's the thing that he doesn't want? Jets and the Broncos are still going at it, by the way. So what happened, Jay?
So this was tweeted out by James Palmer. He's a Broncos insider, and this is a quote from Sean Payton that he doesn't want to see during the Broncos' first preseason game. Uniforms off after you're done playing, no sunglasses, no Gilligan hats, as he called them, is his term for bucket hats, and no interviews during the game. And surely enough, Ray, one of the best wide receivers in football, Garrett Wilson, is on the sidelines at the preseason game. Bucket hat, sunglasses, interview, no jersey, everything that Sean Payton said that he didn't want to see. Yeah, with the Gilligan hat. Oh, my goodness. Garrett Wilson just trolling the hell out of Sean Payton on the sidelines. Absolutely unreal stuff. And Ray, I don't know if you've seen, did you watch Hard Knocks yet? Because you know what I want to get a hold of? So you see, if you pull up the picture again, where you see the Jets logo, right?
All right, let me pull that up. Let's see that.
And we may have to talk to Robert Saleh. This tank, what they did for the Jets, they replaced Jets with AGAB for all gas, no brakes. Or sorry, AGNB for all gas, no brakes. And that's been their mantra this season. So if you watch Hard Knocks, you'll see Saleh wearing like hoodies and t-shirts with the all gas, no brakes with the football underneath. Looks dope. Looks super, super, super dope. And I want to see if I can get my hands on one of those because those are pretty sick.
On that. Yeah, get on that, man. Get on the imminent domain.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
And Denver looked awful. Awful. Do you have any thoughts on Michael Wilson? Do you want to touch on that in the rookie report? Because he did play more snaps than Rondale Moore, and Rondale Moore played exclusively in the slot, but he did make a couple of good plays.
Yeah, I think Michael Wilson's going to be the team starting X. I thought Clayton Tune was okay in that matchup as a first-year starter. Give him a little bit of love. He got to play quite a bit. I think Michael Wilson is going to be a really good contributor for the Arizona Cardinals until they get Marvin Harrison Jr. next year. Jay, really quickly, there's some hype building for Washington Commanders second-year quarterback Sam Howell, connected with Jahan Dotson, big touchdown pass in that preseason game versus the Browns. And again, these young quarterbacks playing, right? We got Howell, we've got a little bit of Desmond Ridder playing, Kenny Pickett. So these second-year quarterbacks getting another opportunity to kind of put some stuff on wax. I thought Chris Rodriguez looked good for the Commanders, and Emmanuel Forbes, their first-round pick at defensive back, Jay. But the final news topic that I want to bring up and we're going to talk about, we did the veteran baller of the week, and I said collectively, let's come up with a rookie baller of the week. Which rookie player had the best performance this preseason? And I think we both agreed that the guy that took the field the earliest, I think, was the best. And I'm talking about Nathaniel Tank Dell from the Houston Texans, man. Yeah, balling. 5 receptions, 65 yards, and there were probably another 80 yards that were left on the field due to Davis Mills and C.J. Stroud not playing the best. But this is a player, Jay, that, again, listen, I'm not the biggest dude in the world, and I'm bigger than Tank Dell. I mean, I'm standing next to him at the Senior Bowl, and I'm like, man, I've got this guy by an inch or two and probably 40 pounds. And, you watch him in practice, and you were like, man, this dude is uncoverable. I mean, he left after one day. He did enough after one day where he's like, I'm out of here. He gets out there, and he looked good. He's on the field with Nico Collins, and he's just open every play, Jay. And there's a lot of people, data in the fantasy space says that players this size can't succeed in the NFL. When you watch Tank Dell and you saw the acrobatic touchdown, you see him wide open down the field on double routes, double move routes. Like, what are your thoughts on him? Could he lead? Could he be the best receiver in Houston out the gate? Like, is that, again, I don't want to overreact, but could he be better than Nico Collins and Robert Woods at this advanced stage of his career and be the number one receiver in Houston from day one?
I do think that is a realistic possibility. And, you see people in the chat saying A.T. Perry, disrespect. I think the bigger point here when you're talking about baller of the week, and the reason why I went with Tank Dell is not just because of what he did do when he did get the ball, but also when he didn't get the ball. This is the guy that we saw at the Senior Bowl, and everyone was talking about Tank Dell. And yes, it's one-on-ones where receivers should win, but he was winning in a different fashion, and he was looking so good to the point where we're like, okay, he's so small. Can he succeed in the NFL? Because right now, against top prospects that are getting drafted, like I don't remember how many Senior Bowl players were drafted, but they were drafted high, second round, third round. Yeah. Guys, he was going against Darius Rush, right? We saw him go against Darius Rush multiple times. Rush is probably one of the best cornerbacks there.
Julius Brents, Tyreek Stevenson. Yes, right? We saw that. Yep.
When you see a Tank Dell succeed at a place like the Senior Bowl, where it's the top competition we're going to see him play against until he gets to the NFL, and then we see him play in the preseason game in the NFL, and he's looking good again with Davis Mills. And he's literally like, if you watch back the tape, right, he's literally like, Davis Mills, get the ball up and put it in my hands so I can do something with it. And he left yards on the field because his quarterback play wasn't great. And Davis Mills also missing down the sideline for what could have been another deep touchdown. So there's a lot of reasons why I like Tank Dell, but with the target competition, the situation in Houston, yes, the offensive line is bad, and we saw that. But if a guy could emerge who we didn't expect, Tank Dell could be the guy, and that's the reason why I wanted to highlight him here. If you didn't watch him play, go and watch his performance, because I think he can do it outside, and I think he can do it from the slot, and that started in the Senior Bowl process, and it wasn't that we were off him. It's can he do that in the NFL, and everything we've seen from him so far is that he has passed the test, and I want to continue to see him do that, and if he can, he should definitely be on your radars, even for his rookie season.
Jay, we got a couple of super chats right here from my man, Fredo Reyes. He said, if you're watching, like the damn video. We got over 540 people like the video, folks. Appreciate everybody being here. And then y'all know David from across the pond. No super chat for me today. I'm about to give somebody $100. That's right. David did have his $100 challenge to our Wake Up crew. So I don't know how he's going to announce the winner on that. Maybe it's going to be inside of our Discord, patreon.com.
We were supposed to announce it, right?
Oh, we're supposed to announce it? Do you know who the winner is? Do you know who the winner is?
I had a favorite for sure.
Okay, well,
of all the teams that were submitted. Well, my favorite team was from Andrew Too True. It was Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Josh Jacobs, Bijan Robinson, Miles Sanders, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, and Darren Waller.
All right.
A lot of people tried to get cute, and it wasn't so great for a lot of people, but that for me was my favorite team. And Andrew was the winner in my opinion. I think he's the one who deserves to win.
Andrew, you get $100 today. Happy Monday. That's what happens when you join the squad and you're part of the community. And I know a lot of people asking about Deuce Vaughn, asking about A.T. Perry. They will be discussed on the rookie report. I think both of those players did really good, as well as some other rookies. And one guy that I didn't even know his name, some Emmanuel Williams or Wilson Williams out of Green Bay.
I was looking at the box score.
5'11", 230. Jeez, man. But no, great week one of preseason. I think we're going to get even more information. Week 2, we should see more starters play. Hopefully we see Brock Purdy and see what his ass can do out there this week, Jay. But we got a lot of good stuff on tap for you this week on Destination Devy. JRich's signature show, Straight to the Bank, drops on Tuesday. We've got Destination Dynasty. Scott said, recommended you check out Destination Dynasty today. That's on Destination Devy radio feeds, Overreaction Pod, Off the Line Fantasy Football. My Untitled show will come out Saturday. We got film reviews. We got rookie report. Got a lot of good stuff on tap at DD. And we are making you money on Dub Club. So for right now, it is 100% free. In August, Jay, I had a nice weekend in betting, made a nice little bit of money for our crew with my Spari and Mitch. You're dropping plays. Mitch has been hot. You've got some dope models and tools, so use the link in the description. Come on over, get in these prop plays with us. We're putting in NFL and college football futures. It's free, $99. Sign up, subscribe to the newsletter. Jay, anything you want to say to people before we get out of here on this fine Monday?
Nah, man, I think we're good. I think that for me, it's just watch these guys in preseason, check out the rookie report because it'll be a dope one. We didn't even talk about Aiden O'Connell, right? Didn't even talk about him.
You know how hard it was for me not to talk about Deuce Vaughn? Do you know how hard it was for me to not to talk about Deuce Vaughn today? All I want to do is talk about Deuce Vaughn, but we can't do it. I'll save it for the rookie report. Appreciate each and every eye, each and every ear. We love y'all, Wake Up fam. The NFL season is back. Make sure y'all stay awake and y'all last up on Mondays, man. We out of this thing. Peace. Before y'all close off of the video, I just want to say thank you for checking out the content on Destination Devy. Really appreciate every single view that we get. And the only thing that I ask is that you hit the thumbs up button, like the content, subscribe to the channel, and if you can, comment below for the algorithm. Really helps the channel grow. Now, if you want more exclusive access to me and the entire Destination Devy team, patreon.com/allgas gives you that access. Now, if your money's a little funny, we do have free content for you. Make sure you subscribe to the All Gas newsletter. There's a link in the description of this video below. And subscribe to the Destination Devy podcast radio feed, where we got all types of shows hitting airwaves every single week. Now y'all can get out of here. I appreciate y'all tapping in. It's All Gas all the time. I love y'all. I'm out of this thing. Peace.